The fake heiress cut her face at my birthday party. At my 20th birthday party, the fake heiress suddenly grabbed the cake knife and slashed her face repeatedly, blood streaming down as she fell to her knees before me. Look, sister. I'm ugly now. Please don't make me sleep with those men anymore. I'll leave this family, I promise. I won't compete for mom, dad, and Jake's love anymore. My parents and brother exploded with rage. They publicly announced they'd send meth real daughter to a behavioral correction facility for troubled youth. I endured beatings, electric shocks, forced to drink urine and eat rotten food. I suffered correction from over a dozen guards. A year later, when my family finally remembered me, I fell to my knees in terror, crawling on all fours and barking like a dog. The puppy knows she was wrong. Please punish the puppy gently, master. Chapter 1. My legs trembled as I walked out of the correction facility. Jake leaned against his black Mercedes, studying me. They'd cleaned me up, forced me back into the designer dress I'd worn when I arrived. Not a trace of the year's abuse visible. When they knew my family was coming, they'd force-fed me weight gain supplements. Professional makeup artists had covered every scar, every bruise. Seeing I still wouldn't call him brother, still maintained that cold, distant look, Jake frowned and grabbed my arm. What? You knew I was coming and made me wait 2 hours on purpose? Sophia Monroe, still acting tough. Haven't had enough of that place yet? Looking at his angry face, hearing the threat in his voice, my pupils contracted. I jerked my arm back, face draining of color. I dropped to my knees with a thud. Bang, bang, bang. I started kowtowing frantically, trembling as I begged. Sorry, master. The puppy made master unhappy. Master's shoes are dirty. The puppy will lick them clean. I crawled toward his shoes on my knees, tongue extending mechanically. Jake yanked his foot away, stepping back with disgust. Sophia, are you insane? His eyes were like ice, making me shake harder. I remembered the darkness of the facility. This meant they were going to punish their disobedient dog. Reflexively, I started lifting my dress. And barking. Woof, woof. Master, don't be angry. The puppy will be good and obedient. The puppy knows she was wrong. Please punish the puppy gently. Jake's face showed complete shock. He crouched down and grabbed my hands. He yanked me up violently. His face black with rage, teeth gritted. Sophia Monroe. Are you still defiant? Acting like this to provoke me? I shook uncontrollably, tears of terror streaming down. Angering them meant hellish torture. Sorry. Please don't hit me. I'll be good and obedient. I admit it. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have hurt anyone. I really know I was wrong. Slap. Jake's hand connected with my face. Enough. Shut up. This was the first time he'd hit me in 3 years. Before, I would have hit back. He had no right to touch me. But now, I just pulled back, then started slapping myself frantically. I bit my lips bloody to keep from making noise. When I'd first arrived at the facility and fought back against those trying to abuse me, they'd shock me unconscious, then beat me with sticks and whips for 3 days straight. When hungry, only rotten food. When thirsty, their urine. Once, a drunk guard dropped his phone. I managed to call Jake, crying, begging him to take me home. He just laughed coldly. Sophia, we agreed on 1 year. It's only been days. Compared to what Madison suffered, this punishment is nothing. Stay there obediently. Maybe it'll fix that spoiled princess attitude. On the other end, Madison's weak sobs. Sister just made a mistake. I stole her place first. Whatever punishment I get, I deserve it. Please forgive sister. My face is already ruined. I don't deserve to be a Monroe anymore. Just let me leave. Before I could respond, my parents' furious voices cut in. Jake. Can't you see Madison's upset? Hang up. Never answer Sophia's calls again. 1 year means 1 year. She can come back when she learns to behave. The call ended on my desperate screams. Later I learned they were taking Madison to Korea for plastic surgery that day. My parents and Jake publicly declared that no matter what Madison looked like, she was their beloved family. But me? I never belonged. Not 3 years ago, not now. I slapped harder, my face swelling and burning. Stop. Jake grabbed my hands, fury in his eyes. Sophia, have you no shame left? Did you strip and self-harm in there too, trying to get sympathy? Useless. Those people were professionals mom, dad, and I specifically hired. They wouldn't go soft over your little tricks. Hearing mom and dad, I finally recognized him. Jake, it's you. Jake froze, his face darkening further. Stop acting. It's only been a year. You can't have forgotten who I am. We just wanted you to be better, Kinder. Do you have to disgust me with this pathetic act? I recorded you slapping yourself. Don't try to frame me later. 3 years ago, after being brought back to the Monroe family, Madison would self-harm then tearfully tell them not to blame me. Later, she'd deliberately break Dad's antique vases, destroy Jake's carefully built models, then frame me. Whenever I defended myself or accused Madison, they'd all say the same thing. Stop trying to frame others. At the birthday party a year ago, the whole family said it too. You clearly wanted to hurt your sister. Stop framing her. Pain spread through my chest. My throat tightened. Seeing my silence, Jake dragged me to the car. Chapter 2. At home, the door barely opened before a figure in white threw herself at me. Sister, you're back. I missed you so much. Madison, dressed pure and innocent, her face perfectly restored, looking every inch the pampered princess. But as she hugged me tight, her hands pressed cruelly on my injuries, whispering in my ear. Slut, you dare come back? After being passed around, if I were you, I'd have killed myself in shame. The pain in my heart overshadowed the physical. I froze. It was her. Why do this to me? Why? I shoved her away, wanting to demand answers. Ah. Madison seemed prepared, falling backward dramatically. Her head hit the stairs perfectly, blood immediately flowing. Sister, after a year, do you still hate me? She cried prettily, blood running down her white dress, shocking to see. Sophia. I knew you were pretending. You're still just as vicious. Jake kicked me aside, carrying Madison to the living room. Over his shoulder, Madison smirked, mouthing. Today, you're gone. Next second, she whimpered, drawing our parents. 3 of them fussed over her wounds until Jake mentioned I'd hurt Madison. My parents finally noticed me standing frozen by the door. Mom, Dad, don't blame sister. She had food and shelter at the facility, learning rules. But she wasn't free. Some resentment is natural. Madison choked out excuses for me. Dad's face turned thunderous. He stormed over and slapped me. Sophia, did you learn nothing this year? Still so vicious, attacking your sister the moment you return. My ears rang from the blow, legs nearly giving out. Hearing him say, dog, I dropped to my knees reflexively. Sorry. I was wrong, don't punish me, I know I was wrong. Compared to the facility's tortures, a slap was nothing. My pride, dignity, shame all had been tortured away. Dad seemed unprepared for this reaction, freezing. I kowtowed mechanically until Jake yanked me up. Enough. Sophia, stop acting. As long as you know you were wrong. We prepared a welcome dinner. Let's eat. At dinner, Mom looked at me with concern. Sophia, you've lost so much weight. I cowered, only daring to eat the rice in my bowl, ignoring the feast before me. Not that I didn't want it. I didn't dare. For the past year, I'd survived on rotten food. Refusing to comply meant no food, forcing me to scavenge from slop buckets. Once, they threw a chicken leg under the table. I pounced like a starving wolf, only to be tied to the table legs. Then came the worst violation of my life. After that, I learned. Good food came with terrible prices. So I didn't dare. Seeing my fearful state, Mom sighed and placed a chicken leg in my bowl. Sweet girl, this whole table is your favorites. Eat. Seeing the chicken leg, my eyes went wide, body shaking. I stood. Reflexively, clutching my head, diving under the table. I won't eat. I won't eat, please don't tie me. My parents and Jake were shocked. They crouched, staring at me shaking and muttering, all frozen. Sophia. Not again. Come out. Jake reacted first, reaching to drag me out. I threw off his hand, screaming, sorry. Sorry, don't shock me. I'll be good, I'll cooperate. I lay under the table, starting to remove my dress. Halfway through, Jake dragged me out. He pinned my hands, face dark. I didn't dare struggle, just smiled empty and pleading. I won't move. I'll be very good. Don't shock me, don't burn me with cigarettes, okay? Please. Once, I'd fought back and been shocked unconscious, then surrounded by a dozen men dripping hot wax, whipping me with spiked leather until I passed out repeatedly. Too weak to fight, I could only bite my attacker's arm. My punishment was cigarettes extinguished in my mouth. Now Jake gripped my jaw, eyes bottomless. What nonsense are you spouting? I thought he wanted to burn my mouth, screaming in terror. My parents called the family doctor for sedatives. My head grew heavy but I bit my lip bloody, fighting sleep. Falling asleep meant worse horrors. She's clearly suffered extreme psychological or physical abuse, causing these stress responses. Additionally, she's severely malnourished, hasn't eaten properly in ages. She needs a nutritionist. Get her to a hospital immediately for psychological evaluation. Her condition is critical, there could be serious complications. The doctor was cut off by Madison. Impossible. We paid the facility well. Sister would have been cared for perfectly. How could this happen? No, Miss Monroe is actually. The doctor tried to continue but Jake cut him off coldly. Enough. Dr. Williams, you're helping her lie too? He looked at me with disdain, as if seeing through everything. Sophia, impressive tactics. Bribing doctors now. The doctor stammered, young Master Monroe, you misunderstand. Misunderstand what? That sedative was fake too, right? She's still completely alert. How much did she pay you to lie? Dad stared coldly at the doctor. Dr. Williams, my daughter spent 1 year at a professional facility with healthy schedules and balanced meals. What you're describing is impossible. Mom sighed beside him. Sophia, still so immature. Madison cried on cue. Mom, Dad, sister seems even worse than before. My head hurts so much. Jake grabbed my hand to drag me out. Sophia, since you won't repent, back to the facility. No. I won't go. Back. I'll be good. Please. Don't send me back. I broke free, desperately seeking somewhere to hide. Jake reached for me, only catching my dress. Rip. The dress tore, revealing the horrific scars covering my back, crisscrossing, grotesque. Everyone froze. I panicked, dropping to my knees, kowtowing. Woof woof. Puppy was wrong. Puppy won't run. Master can do anything to Puppy. Don't hit Puppy, Puppy will strip herself. Jake finally realized I wasn't acting. He gripped my hands tightly, awkward, not knowing how to comfort me. Don't be scared, sister, no one will hit you. Mom threw herself at me, examining my back, disbelieving. How can this be? Why? Does my daughter have these injuries? Dad ordered Dr. Williams, quick. Check what happened to her. The doctor approached, but the moment he touched my back, I flinched. Don't touch me. Mom. Save me, save me. I threw myself into Mom's arms, sobbing. The whole family looked pained. Madison questioned quietly from the side. Sister, why is only your back injured? My parents and Jake's suspicion reignited at her words. My heart sank. I remembered they'd covered all my scars. The special effects makeup artist said even water wouldn't remove it without specific acidic body wash. So why was my back exposed? Before I could think, Jake swiped at my back. The crisscrossing scars smeared and blurred instantly. Fake. Just paint it on. Jake gritted his teeth, slapping me again. Sophia, stop acting. No one will believe you anymore. My parents sighed disappointedly, shaking their heads. Madison clutched her head and collapsed. Madison. Parents and Jake rushed to catch her. Sister, if you really hate me, just say so. I'll leave the Monroe family. You don't need to fake injuries for sympathy. It's so stupid. Madison sobbed pitifully, cementing my guilt with 2 sentences. My family's brief guilt evaporated, turning cold again. Sophia, we plan to not send you back. But you're not only unrepentant, you've learned manipulation. So after tonight's birthday party, you're going back. Hearing they'd send me back, I completely broke down. But no amount of begging or crying made them believe me. I wanted to call the police but realized my phone had been confiscated a year ago. Chapter 3. That night, Madison's and my 20th birthday party was held at the Riverside restaurant. I wore an old dress, hanging loose on my thin frame like something stolen. Madison wore a custom diamond tiara from Jake, a gown Mom designed personally, glittering. Hearing I'd hurt Madison immediately after returning, everyone looked at me with disgust. I sat forgotten in a corner like a broken, lonely doll. Everyone surrounded Madison with birthday wishes. Jake gave her a diamond-studded dress. Madison beamed. I want to give this dress to sister, okay? She came back so suddenly, she doesn't have anything new. She linked arms with me sweetly. Everyone praised her grace and generosity, truly worthy of being a Monroe heiress. I knew refusing would give her another chance to cause trouble and smear me. So I stayed numbly compliant. Sophia, learn from Madison. She's the one who deserves to be our family's heiress. Jake scolded quietly while our parents sighed nearby. Our biological daughter. How did she turn out so wrong? I smiled mockingly. They'd had chances to know the truth. But Madison always blinded and manipulated them. I didn't want such parents and brother anymore. Come on, sister, let me help you change. Madison pulled me into a private room next to the banquet hall. The door closed, revealing who sat inside. The dozen guards who'd tortured me. They stood, surrounding me with sinister smiles. Madison's eyes gleamed with triumph. Sophia, I told you I'd get you thrown out permanently. You don't know yet? These guards weren't hired by Mom, Dad, and Jake. It was me. Ha ha ha. Chills ran down my spine. Finally understanding why my family insisted the guards wouldn't abuse me. Of course. Remembering their inhuman torture, I begged Madison trembling. Let me go, please. I promise not to compete for Mom, Dad, and Jake anymore. I'll cut ties with them the moment I leave. Madison threw the dress on the floor, laughing viciously. Too bad even if you want to, they won't let you. Sophia, this time you'll stay in that facility forever. She messed up her own hair, signaling the guards. They put on masks with dark chuckles, reaching for me. Next second, they shoved me aside and started tearing at Madison's dress. No. Help. Madison screamed. The door was kicked open. Jake charged in first. Madison threw herself into his arms crying. Sister said it's all my fault she was locked up. She brought these men to teach me a lesson. Jake's face darkened instantly. Sophia, you really shouldn't have been released. My parents cursed. Madison kindly gave you her dress and this is how you repay her. Fine then, Sophia. Stay here and take Madison's lesson for her. Dad ordered the door locked. I shook violently. Hadn't these demons tortured me enough? No. Please. Let me out. I pounded. Desperately, nails drawing blood, voice going hoarse, but they walked away. The guards behind me removed their masks, grinning wickedly. Chapter 4. Upstairs, the family anxiously called Dr. Williams to examine Madison until confirming she was unharmed. Dad told Jake, go unlock the door. I've called the police. Sophia and those criminals won't escape. Jake had barely reached the door when the restaurant manager ran up panicked. Mr. Monroe, it's terrible. Miss Sophia, she jumped in the river. Those criminals jumped after her, but we managed to catch one. What? Jake grabbed his collar in shock. There were terrible screams from the room. I was worried. So I had them unlock it, but then... Speak. Jake's eyes blazed. Miss Sophia jumped from the window. The criminals saw trouble and jumped after her. Luckily we got there in time to grab the last one. My parents rose in panic. Send people to save her. Sophia can't swim. The manager stammered that servers had already jumped in. Where's the criminal? I'll interrogate him now, find out what they did to make my sister jump. Jake's face was murderous as he strode out. Madison couldn't stay still anymore, throwing herself at Jake. Jake, those criminals were hired by sister to hurt me. Since they're her people, they wouldn't harm her. Otherwise, Dad wouldn't have left sister with them. Dad nodded but still looked worried. I know Sophia hired them, but why did it escalate to jumping? Maybe, this is another of sister's schemes. She faked injuries to trick us, now fake suicide. Mom, Dad, she wants to force you to throw me out. Madison bit her lip, crying pitifully, making to run outside. Fine, I'll leave now. Then sister will be happy and stop causing trouble. Jake caught her quickly. Don't be stupid. Her drama has nothing to do with you. You're the Monroe family's raised daughter. If anyone leaves, it won't be you. Madison relaxed, crying into Jake's arms. Our parents comforted her while the manager looked frantic. But when we burst in, Miss Sophia's clothes were torn. There was blood on the floor. Jake's face changed. He pushed Madison aside and ran downstairs. In the locked room, his pupils contracted in shock. Complete chaos. Overturned furniture, a bloody ashtray, my shredded clothes. Madison's diamond dress was gone. By the window where I jumped, 2 bloody handprints. From when I desperately clawed at the door. The blood puddles were from my old wounds reopening during the struggle. Seeing the blood, Jake's eyes turned red. Mom grabbed Dad crying. How could this happen? You shouldn't have locked Sophia with those animals. My daughter was forced to jump. She lost so much blood. Dad frowned, somewhat guilty from her pulling. Madison said Sophia hired them. Who knew they'd dare hurt their employer? Madison shrank behind them, face pale. She hadn't expected me to actually jump. Mom, Dad, don't be fooled. The blood could be fake, those men just acting with her. She can't swim. How could she just jump? Jake's bloodshot eyes fixed on her. Enunciating clearly. Sophia isn't like that. Who would risk their life acting? We'll know if this blood is real when the doctor tests it. Dr. Williams arrived quickly with his kit. After examining, he said gravely. This blood is definitely Miss Sophia's. Same type as this morning's test. Jake exploded, spotting the caught criminal held by servers. Tell me. What did you do to my sister? His gaze was murderous, ready to tear the man apart. The criminal protested frantically. We just did as Mr. Monroe wished, taught her a lesson. Who knew she'd be so dramatic and jump crying? Dad felt regret. And guilt. I only spoke in anger. You were hired by her, why be so cruel? If anything happens to my daughter, you'll all pay with your lives. Police sirens sounded outside. Officers entered. Seeing police, the criminal panicked. He suddenly pointed at Madison, terrified. It was her. She hired us. Not Miss Sophia. We just took money to do a job. If you want revenge, get the mastermind. My family froze, looking at Madison darkly. He's lying. Mom, Dad, Jake, believe me. Madison cried in fear and grievance. I don't even know them. They almost raped me, you all saw. My dress was torn by them. She pointed at her ripped dress as if remembering something. Right. They must be lying. They took the diamond dress I gave sister. They must have gotten greedy, wanted to run with the dress. Sister tried to stop them, so they threw her in the river. Madison's reasoning made sense. They'd seen the situation themselves. Plus in their hearts, Madison was always pure and kind. Enough crying. The police will investigate the truth. Jake draped his jacket over her comfortingly. Madison lowered her head, eyes flashing with panic and guilt. Police soon arrived, taking the suspect for questioning. The restaurant manager ran. In saying they still hadn't found me. Jake climbed onto the window ledge, preparing to jump. I'll save my sister myself. Madison grabbed him. Jake, they said nobody's in the river. Sister might have escaped with them. After all, she hired them. Makes sense they'd take her. This time Jake didn't follow her lead. He shook her off coldly. That suspect said you hired them, not Sophia. Even if he lied, you keep blocking our rescue attempts and blaming everything on her. Very suspicious. Madison, until we know the truth, you stay put. Madison trembled, wanting to speak, but Jake shook her off and jumped. Our parents looked at Madison with suspicion. Madison, last year's birthday you said Sophia forced you to sleep with many men. She's been punished, but you still won't say who they were or where it happened. You even stopped us from calling police, saying you didn't want scandal. Was it all lies to frame your sister? Dad asked coldly, voicing long-held doubts. Madison shook her head frantically, tearing at her hair. No. I didn't lie. She hurt me like this and you're taking her side? Mom sighed. We're not. It just seems strange. If you didn't want scandal, you could have told us privately after the party. But you announced it publicly. That's contradictory. Police are interrogating that criminal now. If you don't want to be exposed, better tell us. Even now, Mom was still protecting Madison. I understand. Mom, Dad, since you don't believe me, I'll prove it. Madison smiled tragically, then climbed onto the window and jumped. No. Madison. Parents panicked, calling for people to save her. But the night was too dark, the river too murky. No one could find Madison. Jake came ashore and hearing Madison had jumped too, wanted to go back. Just then, the door opened. Police brought out the suspect. Mr. and Mrs. Monroe. The suspect confessed everything. The person who hired them for this show was indeed your younger daughter, Madison. Parents and Jake were shocked. Police continued. We also learned about events from a year ago, regarding Sophia's experiences at that facility. He looked pained, unable to continue. What experiences? The facility coaches were carefully selected professionals. There couldn't have been excessive behavior. Parents and Jake looked confused. The officer's expression was complex. He pushed the suspect forward. Tell them yourself. The suspect hung his head, confessing everything. Hearing he'd been bought by Madison a year ago, the family was stunned. Madison gave us each $1 million and got us jobs as guards at the facility. She bribed the supervisor to replace all your chosen professional coaches with us. Not only that, Sophia was put in solitary. Madison said. Said what? Jake roared, eyes bloodshot. Said to train her well. As long as we didn't cripple her, anything goes. The suspect shrank from his rage, voice getting smaller. What did you do to her? Tell me. Jake's voice cracked. The suspect shook his head desperately, refusing to speak more. He knew if he detailed it, Jake would tear him apart on the spot. Dad solemnly asked the police to quickly find the dozen escaped suspects. Police nodded, taking the suspect away. Parents and Jake waited by the river all night with no results. At dawn, good news came from the station. Madison had been found. At the station, they watched Madison being interrogated. Her suicide jump was fake. She'd planned to escape, knowing the caught suspect would soon produce evidence against her. So she'd fake the dramatic jump to slip away in the darkness while search parties looked elsewhere. With years of allowance from parents, she could go anywhere. She'd rushed home for her passport and ID, bought the quickest international flight. But was intercepted at boarding. Initially Madison made excuses about not wanting to burden parents and Jake anymore, wanting to leave quietly. Until police presented all evidence. Her bank withdrawal records from a year ago matching the $1 million in the suspect's account. Plus videos the suspect had recorded over the year. When police projected these videos on screen, parents and Jake went insane. In the footage, I was tied under a table while over a dozen men took turns violating me. I cried and begged while they whipped me, urinated on my face. If I tried escaping, they'd shock me with stun batons until I convulsed and lost control. As time passed in the videos, I went from initial defiance and resistance to the end. Becoming an obedient dog, crawling at their feet, barking, licking their shoes. One cough from them sent me into terrified begging, mechanically tearing my own clothes. After abuse, I'd huddle in corners watching them eat and drink. If they were happy, they'd throw me bones with meat. If I disobeyed, I could only eat slop bucket scraps. They nicknamed me Puppy. Puppy, want some chicken? With lecherous laughter, I'd kneel shaking my head in fear. In the degrading footage, I'd dry heave in pain but having not eaten, only acid came up. Finally, one day I got a drunk guard's phone, calling Jake tearfully for rescue. Only to receive his mockery and our parents' scolding. Jake hung up on my despair. Then the woken guard dragged me by my hair, punching and kicking. Mom covered her mouth sobbing into Dad's arms. Jake clutched his hair in agony. My fault, she was begging for help and I hung up. All my fault. He slapped himself hard several times, eyes red as he rose to attack the suspect. You dared do this to my sister. I'll kill you. Police restrained him. The suspect went white with fear, desperately pointing at Madison. Her idea. She made us do it. Madison shuddered, not daring to look up. Dad furiously declared he'd disown Madison and ensure she rotted in prison. Jake's eyes were vicious, muttering, not enough, just prison isn't enough. With the caught suspect's information, police quickly found the dozen escapees. With airports and stations under surveillance, they could only take me to an abandoned factory. When police and my family arrived, I was tied to a pillar. All my old wounds had reopened from water exposure, soaking through the dress. Let my sister go. Jake stepped forward but the lead criminal held a knife to my throat. Everyone back. Get us a private jet and 50 million cash. Otherwise, I'll kill her now. That day, seeing me jump desperately, they knew if I died, they couldn't escape. They had to jump after me to save me. Planning to use me for ransom to leave. Now all my wounds were festering. I burned with fever. In my delirium, I saw Mom crying hysterically, kneeling and begging the criminals to release me. Dad frantically made calls arranging money and a plane. Jake bowed repeatedly to police, begging them not to act rashly, to let the criminals go. Sophia, don't be scared. Mom and Dad won't let anything happen to you. Sister, I was wrong. Madison's been arrested, we've cut ties with her. You're our only daughter now. Hold on. Seeing me weakening, they screamed desperately. Soon Dad's cash arrived, the plane waiting outside the factory. The criminals pushed me out, eyes full of greed. After loading the cash, the lead criminal didn't keep his promise, preparing to take me on the plane too. He said for safety, they'd have to inconvenience this young heiress. You're going back on your word. You said you'd let her go. Jake's eyes bulged. The criminal leader laughed. Yeah, but I didn't say when. When the plane's over the ocean, I'll naturally let her go. You can fish her out of the sea then, ha ha ha. Jake completely lost it, stepping forward to argue, but was cut off. Behave. Don't want her hurt? Fine, you replace her and come with us. They discussed it kidnapping. Me, the unloved daughter, was too risky. After all, my family's indifference was why I'd suffered a year of violation at the facility. They'd watched how my family ignored me, left me to die. So they decided kidnapping Jake was safer. Jake agreed without hesitation. He walked slowly toward me as criminals pushed me forward. As we passed, Jake looked at me, eyes full of guilt and pain. Sister, I'm sorry. Next second, he suddenly shoved me into our parents' arms, meeting the criminal's knives himself. Bastard, you dare trick us? Die. The criminal raised his knife to stab him. Simultaneously, a gunshot rang out. The criminal fell, but the knife still pierced Jake's body. As he fell, Dad cried out and rushed forward, facing the remaining dozen criminals' knives. After a dozen more gunshots, Dad also lay in a pool of blood, multiple stab wounds. All criminals were shot dead on scene. Mom collapsed crying and fainted. Chapter 5. I woke in the hospital, wrapped in bandages, on 4 drips. Mom's hair had gone completely white, seeming to age decades. She cried telling me Jake and Dad had been stabbed in vital organs, lost too much blood. They didn't make it. I closed my eyes, feeling nothing. This was what they deserved. If they'd given me a chance to investigate clearly, to see Madison's true face, things wouldn't have gone this far. I wouldn't have suffered inhuman torture. A month later, Madison was sentenced to 30 years for assault and attempted escape. The end.